Okay, hold on. You're throwing off my whole thing. I was going to ask you, so it's your anniversary, right? So it's been a year, which means that you have made a Gold Pass subscription to your wife, and it has cost you at least $60 thus far, has it not?
Yeah. It has cost no more than $60. Wait, no.
No fewer than $60.
No fewer than $60.
And how have your in-game rewards been?
They've been really nice, really nice. I do enjoy the monthly content that comes along with it. And I do have this cool new emblem in the shape of a very fancy ring that I get to wear around. Purely cosmetic, doesn't actually do anything, but it's a thought that counts.
I feel like, Galen, you have missed entirely... We're talking about Mario Kart Tour. Nothing?
Well, it's like... I thought we were going to talk about this later.
Never mind. Hello, my geese and goslings. Friends, thank you for joining us today on the Nintendo Everything Podcast, episode 47. I am your disappointing host, Oni Dino, and I have with me also an equal disappointment. It's Galen.
Honk.
I need to get my head out of my goose's butt because I keep screwing up the podcast. Episode 45 didn't even have a number associated with it. Episode 46 was accidentally called 45. Let's see if I can get it right this time. Jesus.
You're still in Japan? My guess is going to be probably not.
You know, you never know. If you don't know, now you know.
How long are you in Japan for, anyway?
About another week.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. And, I finally have some time to, kind of chill out because I got you out of my hair. No, I'm kidding. It was lovely having you here.
It was nice. We had UFO chicken.
We did have UFO chicken. I took a picture of you eating it and shoving it in your mouth, and you looked like a monster.
And I also took pictures of something called the Kawaii Monster Cafe, which... That place is just weird.
I'm sorry.
It's just very weird.
I'm sorry. I'm going to need you to bring it together because this is a professional podcast. Did you say the Kawaii Monster Cafe or the Kawaii Monster Cafe?
The Kawaii.
Still so unclear.
Not the
so
Scary
unclear.
Monster Cafe.
Okay. So this week on the NEP, we got some interesting, controversial, possibly a bit of a downer subjects going on. We're gonna be talking about the weird thing happening with Nintendo France and Hero and future DLC characters from Smash. That's coming and going.
Yep.
And then Mario Kart Tour just launched, so we got some numbers on that, but we also got some opinions, don't we?
Yep. We're gonna slide right underneath that one and just boost right through it.
You're gonna drift into it, Galen.
I thought you slid in that. Maybe that's just when I'm driving. There's more sliding than drifting.
Damn it! Why can't you slide right into a... I can't think of words. Come on, help me out here.
Blue shell, red shell, banana peel.
This is the worst opening we've ever done for a podcast. It's the worst opening. Oh my god. Thank you so much for joining us, friends. Wow, I'm so happy that you put up with us. So let's just get right to it and talk about Untitled Goose Game. Let's talk about our adventure log.
Nice.
Galen, you've been playing Adventure Goose Game. Shit.
An Adventure Goose Game? Wow. You want me to handle this one? You need another cup of coffee there?
No, it'll be worse. If you handle it, it'll be worse.
Probably, unfortunately. Yeah, adventure log for me this week. I've been playing probably one of the greatest games I've played this year so far, and this is in a year where Resident Evil 2 Remake came out. Untitled Goose Game is amazing.
What's so amazing about it? You tell me, what is this game? Explain it.
Okay, so it's hard to explain other than you're being an asshole goose.
Right,
And
I'm there.
you're just being set loose on the small, English village.
Your goose is loose? Is that what you're telling me in this game?
The goose is loose.
Oh my god, have you seen that?
In the game, your controls are to flap your wings, which does nothing other than give you enjoyment that you're a goose flapping your wings.
Oh, I love it when
you can
games
lower
do that.
your neck down to pick things up and to, like, duck underneath things. And you can honk.
To duck? Galen, you don't even know the pearls that are falling out of your mouth right now.
You know what? It's low-hanging fruit because we're talking about Goose Game here, so...
No, that was entirely unintentional. I know when you make an intentional joke because you always make like a, I'm cute.
I do that?
Yes, but in a Galen way, not in a, Oni way.
Untitled Goose Game is amazing, though.
Okay, I'm sorry. I keep interrupting you. I'm the worst human. Go on, please.
Yeah. No, for those who play the game, you go into an area, you're given a checklist of things that you need to do, like you go into a place where a groundskeeper is tending to a garden. You have to sneak into the garden and steal the keys from him, and then have a picnic. So you have to take various pieces around the garden and bring it over, like, outside to where this picnic basket is. And it is so much fun, and it is so absolutely absurd. There is no sense of danger, so it's a very relaxing game when you are playing it. I will admit, I actually let my wife play this, and she loved it.
Hold on. What is this gatekeeping you're doing? I will admit I let my wife play it. Your words, you must choose them.
I'll say it better.
I'm keeping it in.
When I downloaded the game, I purposely did not play it at all, and I let her play it first because I wanted her to be, like, the first reaction of the game itself. And she ended up playing through almost the entire game in, like, one sitting. That is one thing. I have to say, it is a very, very short game. There's really only 4 major levels.
Yeah, I've been hearing that.
Yeah. There is, once you get through the level and once you beat all 4 of them, they do have a second series that unlocks where you start to take bits and bobs from the other levels and you can bring them over into yours. So one of them is, have somebody from another area go into the shopping area and buy back something that they actually own. So you have to, like, go to the garden and steal some gardening shears and bring them over to the shopping area and drop them off, and then they have to, like, buy it back. And it's just so much fun and ridiculousness.
That sounds really creative. It's not just like, go and destroy this guy's field or anything. It's like, no, take all these little items so that way you can have your own little goose picnic. And then the other thing, buying back, that's really creative. I like that a lot.
Yeah. In the 3rd level, it's set up where it's 2 houses that are separated by a fence. And on the one side, you have this really artistic, kind of erratic lady who has all these art sculptures and everything around. On the other side, you have this really kind of proper guy who's just reading a newspaper and drinking some tea outside. But what you have to do is you have to steal all of this stuff that the guy has on the table, like his hat, his glasses, a pipe, and bring it over to the other yard where the lady finds the things, picks them up, and puts them up and decorates a bust statue with it. And that's one of the things you have to do.
Precious.
Just cross it off. It's so much fun. I really, really, really want to see you and Cliff play this on your show.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we should definitely do that. There's so many good games to play.
Like, I cannot stress this enough. You need to play this game because it is amazing.
Okay, viewer request. Right here, right now, you heard it.
100%.
Yeah, if there's a viewer request, we play the games. Oh, I play the video games on my tiny little YouTube channel called Game Married. Thank you for bringing it up, Galen, because I'm really bad at promoting my brand. I forgot to even retweet the damn podcast last week. I don't know. Like,
to be fair, you are technically on vacation.
This is the worst vacation if that's the case, because I've been working so much lately. Like, there's such a backlog of stuff that, like, we need to do at Nintendo Everything, and I'm trying to fit as much into my schedule as possible.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, I'm just like creating things sort of, and being myself as much as I can, and if people show up for it, let's be friends. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not trying to be one of those YouTuber things at all. Like, I've been just at Tokyo Game Show, you're meeting so many people, shaking hands, like, oh, what do you do? And let's talk about this or that. And it's really fun to hear creative people, but like, there's also like some Venn diagram overlap with people who are, being creative and stuff, but they're also chasing the game because they have to make money, right? And it's so exhausting sounding where it's like, okay, I have to do these things I don't really want to do, but it's dictated by the YouTube algorithm or whatever advertisement nonsense is happening. And I just don't want to go that far into it, which means that I need to, not count on like making money from this. This is just something that I have to do as a hobby, basically, which is fine. That's totally fine with me. But
yeah,
I don't know. I see how exhausting it is to chase that game and how like inauthentic, whatever you can become. And it's a little depressing. So I don't want to do that.
Nah, I get you.
I'm playing video games with my husband, and if you're here for it, let's do that.
The YouTube game is definitely a hard one to play, and you really, if you want to do it well, you have to dedicate like all of your stuff to it, and even when you do that, there's no guarantees.
Yeah, absolutely. I was talking to my friend about this last night, actually, and I was trying to explain to him like what it is, because he has a base level understanding of YouTube, but I'm like, no, you have to understand that like the YouTube game is different 1 year ago than what it is right now, and 1 year before that and everything, right? So like what was the point I wanted to make here?
I think your point is that it's such an ever-changing environment that trying to keep up with it and trying to make sure you're playing by the same rules that everybody else is playing is such a difficult thing to do.
Yeah, that's exactly where I wanted to go with this, because YouTube, tells you when you're making stuff what they want you to do, and you can check all those boxes and do all those things that they want you to do, but they're still not going to promote your videos probably. So it's like you got your bowl, you got your spoon, you're standing in line, you've been queuing for a long time, and you're just sitting there waiting for soup, and maybe they're never going to give you soup, but you did all the right things hoping for soup.
Well, and it's also really hard because with YouTube telling you what they are expecting you to do to kind of gain that recognition and everything, there also is the same trap of you just doing what everybody else is trying to do to try to get recognized. So how do you set yourself apart from that environment? Yeah,
and that's what they want you to do.
Yeah, it's rough. It is really rough.
That's the thing too, is that like YouTube talks about like, they put a lot of fluff on it. They put a lot of marketing spin on it where they're like, we want you to make great content, and all that thing. Like content is such like a disgusting word to me now, but it's like, no, you don't really want me to make great content. You want me to make a video that says, here's the top 10 things you need to know before you go to Tokyo, with a splash image that's a bajillion colors, a big old Supreme style font, and then my face going like, "Buh," in the thumbnail. That's what you want. That's not good content.
I hate
that's
those
like
thumbnails.
Me too. As soon as I see those, and like this is me in the YouTube minority for sure, but as soon as I see those thumbnails, I immediately click on the little dots and I'm like, not interested in this channel. And I'm in the minority.
My reaction, my reaction isn't as harsh, but I definitely understand where you're coming from with that.
So let's talk about video games. What the shit? Galen, what other video game have you been playing?
While my wife has been playing Untitled Goose Game, I have been playing a little bit of Borderlands 3, actually. Game is fun. I definitely am enjoying my Schluter a little bit. I do have some critiques on it.
Let's hear it.
The writing is nowhere near as strong as it was in the second game. Oh god, I can't remember the guy's name. He's Ashley Birch's brother. Crap, I can't remember his name, but he's the guy who actually did
Dick Birch.
He's the guy who actually did the writing for Borderlands 2, and he did an amazing job, not only with the environment, how things played out, but also just writing a character that was as enjoyable to hate as Handsome Jack. In this game, the whole thing of... First off, how much do you know about Borderlands 3 right now, before I make assumptions?
I know that it's a Schluter with a... What's that called? Wow, brain not work. Brain hurty. The pixel... Not pixel. Shit! Art style? Cell-shaded art style.
Yeah.
And the writing is very much self-referential and I'm going to say a little bit more than a little. Quite obnoxious. Very punny and very Joss Whedon.
Yeah, it's very punny, but it's also...
I'm over that, honestly.
It leans a little bit heavily on pop culture references as well. For example,
Remember this?
Well, yeah, exactly. Like, when you're playing the game, there's an enemy that you come across, and it's like a mini-boss in this one particular area named Wick and Wardy. And it's this one little minion guy who keeps running around, and there's a million different clones of him. And then the one major guy with big spiky hair who portals around everywhere. And it's totally a Rick and Morty reference. But it's that kind of thing that you're finding. I know what
that is!
It's that kind of thing that you're finding a lot of in the game.
Yeah, so, like, when that kind of humor started to become popular, it was sort of fresh, I guess, even though it was still hollow. Now, everyone's doing it, and it's as hollow as it was before, but extremely exposed now. It's, in lieu of actual creative writing, it's just, like, references, and it's like, ugh.
Yeah.
Not great.
Well, and it's like the main villains that you find in the game. So your main villains in the game are a set of twins named the Calypso twins. And they're really weird because they have these special powers that are very rare in the world of Borderlands. But their personality is basically described as obnoxious YouTube live streamers. Like, they go around and they're like, hey guys, why don't you like, follow, and obey? We're gonna kill a bunch of guys. Catch us on the flip side. It's like, what are you doing? What? No.
They do not say catch us on the flip side. That is just your own... No.
Yes.
They don't.
I will find the clip and I will send it to you. Like, it's...
This is the worst game of 2019.
That being said, the actual gameplay mechanics are pretty good. Like, I definitely appreciate the quality of life improvements that they've made. It feels a lot smoother. It feels a lot more fluid when you're playing it. I definitely like the new approach that they do on the weapon trees and the skill trees, where beforehand you can kind of branch out and you're just getting little bits and power-ups from every little area. Now you can only equip like one of 3 different tree paths at the time, and you can respec it anytime that you want to. So it really offers... Good. Yeah, it offers a lot more incentive to try out different things in the game and to experiment with it.
Wait, Galen. I need a third way to say try out things in the game.
No. You're not going to get it.
Just so that way you can try out new things in the game and experiment with it and have new experiences.
So that was the Nintendo Everything podcast, ladies and gentlemen.
Galen is fired. Wait, user poll right now. Will Galen get fired or will he quit?
Those are the only 2 options available right now. User poll, is Oni going to not play a video game or complain about not playing a video game? Those are the only 2 options.
Yeah. Okay, listen. Yeah. That is a little too real, all right? I'm gonna need you to tone it down.
Yeah. I'll listen to your adventure log. Oh wait, you don't have one?
I do. I wrote down 2 things. Okay, user poll right now. Is Galen going to prepare for the podcast? Wait, no, hold on. I screwed that up. Is Galen not going to prepare for the podcast? Or is he just going to pretend that he prepared for the podcast? Trick question. It's both of those.
What?
I don't know.
This is a weird episode. This is a really weird episode.
This is the worst episode we've ever done. So Borderlands 3, good mechanics, probably the worst writing in the series history. Is that your takeaway yet?
I wouldn't say it's that bad, because the worst I would definitely say came from the pre-sequel, because I just could not follow that game whatsoever. It definitely is.
I wonder
a
if it was
step
written by
down,
the same
however.
person.
Oh, maybe. No. I think it was made by their main company, where it was their Australian branch that made the pre-sequel. No, game's still fun. I haven't played it with other people yet, which might change my opinion and my experience of it, but as far as a solo play is going, it's fun. It's all right. I had more fun with Goose Game, but Goose Game's over with, so let's go back to Borderlands 3, I guess.
I don't know how I feel about, like, just all right on a video game, just personally speaking. Like, if it's going to be just all right, then I'm just going to wait a couple months if it's on PS4 for it to go down in price.
Yeah.
Because by Christmas, that game's going to be on sale for $30 USD.
Oh, probably. It's probably going to be on sale pretty quick here.
Yeah, and that's a month and a half away in terms of sales.
Yeah. With that being said, though, like, I don't want to knock the game too much. Like, I hate doing this, but if I was to give it a ranking system, I would give it, like, a solid 8 or 8.5 out of 10.
I don't like
as far
numbers.
As, like, how much I know, I don't like it either, but it's the easiest way I can convey it at this point. I will admit, though, I'm having a harder time getting into this game than when Borderlands 2 did come out, and I don't know if that's a matter of my tastes in the genre and my expectations for it have definitely changed compared to when the second one came out, or if it's just the actual development of the game itself. Like, it's hard to differentiate those two.
Sounds like you need to play it a little bit more, get a little more introspective, and take down some good notes while you're playing so that way you can revisit this on a future podcast.
I think I will. Like, I definitely need to spend more time with this game.
Yeah, break it down. Get analytical on this, on your own opinions.
Will do.
That way the listeners have something to look forward to.
And what I am looking forward to is your own adventure log. I'm sorry for calling you out earlier.
That's not a call out. You called your own self out because you didn't even read. So while Galen is dunking his own head in water, I will explain to you about I've been playing Chasm on my own.
Yeah, I've been watching your playthrough on your YouTube show. And
what's my YouTube show called, Galen?
Game Married.
Thank you.
Yes. Yeah, I've been watching you guys play it on Game Married, and it looks like a lot of fun. Like, I'm definitely into that. I want to call it a Metroidvania. I don't know if you actually get other powers to revisit other areas later on, but just that exploring a dungeon in a side-scroll manner. Like, I really like that style of game.
Yes, so this is definitely a Metroidvania. It is an indie game, I think about 10 USD on the eShop.
That's really cheap.
Really good pixel aesthetic, really nice pixel art and animations. It's very much Symphony of the Night kind of inspiration Metroidvania. I'm playing this on my own on a separate file because we have the regular one going on our show on Game Married, but it's just the combat's really fun and traversal is really fun. Everything feels really solid. The level design isn't super great because it's procedurally generated, but just from when you start a file from the very beginning. So it's not like roguelite or anything like that. It's a double-edged sword because it increases your replayability because each playthrough is going to be different no matter what you do. There's going to be some main areas that are always kind of in the same vein. Like, you know, this warp to the next dungeon is always going to be sort of over here. But general traversal, general enemy placement is always going to be different. So that's the good part. The bad part is that none of it is going to be like super tight. I've never had any problems with it, but every once in a while I'm like, this part's uninspired, and I'm, just kind of moving through. But the enemies are fun, and there's a lot of patterns to learn, so you can react in a different way to fight them between like your melee weapons and your magic that you have. And there's lots of options there. There's all different kinds of weapons that do different damage, different attack speed, different length. So my favorite one, but it's weak, is the whip because it has really long attack range, and the speed is pretty fair on it. But they're always weak. I've only found I think 2 whips so far.
Do you feel like there's a good balance between all the weapons, like your heavy clubs versus your knives
you have a lot of options
whips?
for sure. So it feels good to play everything. That's honestly what my driving force is to continue to play the game.
So, do each of the weapons feel unique or different?
Yeah, absolutely. They've got different arcs of attack. Like, I think in episode like 2 or 3 of the show on Game Married, I found a club, and Cliff played the game a little bit ahead of me, and this is my first experience with it on the show. And the club has a huge overarching swing to it, and it's really strong, but it's very slow. And as soon as I got it, Cliff never got it. He's like, "Oh no! Oh, that's the best!" You know, he's like just so jealous and angry that he didn't get the club.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah. But anyway, the game is really fun, and lately, you know, I'm doing so many things, and so the only time I have to kind of play a video game is right before I go to bed, so I want like a really simple experience that I can really turn my brain off with, and this is it. So that's why I've been playing Chasm as opposed to all of the other amazing video games that are coming out, like Daemon X Machina, which just came out, Link's Awakening. I still have more Fire Emblem to play, Astral Chain, like Untitled Goose Game. There's so many good games.
Your list is growing.
Yeah.
Your list is definitely growing.
And I have clients also that are sending me emails about, you know, games to play to promote, so I have to play those as well. Good problem to have, I guess, but I don't have the time right now. What the hell? So anyway, let's move on to some of the news and some of the controversy that has been happening this week. Galen.
Yes, Oni.
Being a part of the fighting game community, why don't you explain to me what is happening with Nintendo France and Hero and the future DLC characters in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate?
Yeah, it's a weird one. So earlier this week, Nintendo France came out with a statement stating that there was an imbalance in the fighting game community when it came to the downloadable Hero. Hero.
Great,
Super
good job,
Smash Bros.
good
Ultimate.
sentence.
I know. You know what? Top tier here.
Pot, kettle, black.
Yeah, exactly. Do you need me to rephrase that 3 more times, or are we good on this one?
Wait, hold on. Say rephrase in 3 different styles.
Rephrased, reorganized, or reiterate.
You're just doing rewords.
I know, and I'm going alphabetically at this point. Nobody
Listen,
look too much into that.
my house is glass, full of broken windows. However, I got lots of rocks, okay? So you can't win. You can't win.
You know who can win is Hero in
Not
Super
bad.
Smash Bros.
Not
Ultimate.
bad.
Thank you.
47 episodes and
about
you've gained
how-
1 level with all of your experience.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks for throwing rocks. And that was the Final Fantasy Tactics joke.
Yes! Yes! That was the best thing you've ever said on this show ever! That was the best thing you've ever said on this show. Good job. That was an instant level up.
Thank you.
All right. For those that play Final Fantasy Tactics, I'm not explaining that joke. Go ahead. That was the best, and Final Fantasy Tactics people will enjoy that. And now we will move on to what we're trying to get into, except I keep ruining it.
Getting back to the news, basically what is going on is that the downloadable Hero... God damn it, I did it again, motherfucker. The downloadable character, Hero from Dragon Quest in Smash Bros. Ultimate, has been getting a little bit of scrutiny lately. A lot of people in the tournament scenes are regretting and not wanting to let him into the actual tournaments because his moveset is a little bit too random and unbalanced. A lot of people are thinking that...
I have criticisms of that. Like, I just genuinely don't know, but like literally every freaking character, just all the time. You know, the whiny babies in the FGC that like the genuine people in the FGC that take it seriously, they don't respect those people's opinions because people always just want to shout, "Oh, OP on everything." Like just
and it's not only that, it's people are saying that using this character, the victories are more amount to luck as opposed to actual skill with a character, and they're using the same arguments as to whether or not to use items or something like that. Like, because of his special I'm going to select whatever move that I want to ability, like, it leaves so much up to chance that it's hard to take that into a meta consideration.
But up to chance for whom, though? Because are they saying the opponent or the person playing as hero?
I believe both, because a lot of these people who are playing, a lot of these people who are playing at these higher levels and in these tournaments are playing at a degree where if they are playing against a character, they are making all of their moves, their decisions based on not what they can do, what the other guy can do.
Right. But I mean, my argument against that is then just learn what they can do, right? I know it's not as simple as that, but...
Well, and of course it's not as simple as that, because there's always the element of what's the skills and what are they going to do to respond to what I'm going to do to respond to what they're going to do. Like it gets into that kind of like in-depth thing. But when you enter in an element of chance, such as you now have a selection of 4 moves out of 16 that you could possibly do, how can you predict for that? You might get the ability that says, hey, I'm going to blow myself up and maybe take you up with me. Or you might get the ability that says, hey, I'm going to kill you at 40%.
But my argument to that, though, is that, like, at any given time, any character can do any move that they have, right? It's not like at any given time the character's options are one thing or 2 things that the opponent has to learn how to parry.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think that's a really weak argument just to say that like they have 16 options in that down B.
I would kind of agree with you, and
it just sounds like whiny babies. Teeny tiny whiny Thumbelina babies.
I agree with you on that.
Okay.
However, so the official Nintendo of France has actually made an interesting move where they've come out and banned Hero for the upcoming European Team Cup that they're having for Smash Bros. Ultimate.
But then they did their own down B counter on themselves and then reversed it.
I was getting to it.
But then I wanted to do the down B thing, though. I had a thing.
That's fine. Well, and that's the thing. I didn't predict you doing that. That was more on the random side. So,
how did you? Should I be banned from Nintendo Everything Podcast?
What do you mean? This is, Fox v. Fox, no items, Bayonetta 1-on-1, and Final Destination.
I'm letting you just fumble right there, leaving it all in.
I'm pretty sure those are words people say. So, yes, Nintendo of France came out and they banned not only Hero, but they made a statement that all DLC characters after September 23rd would also be banned. So,
that's so
oddly
dumb.
enough, that doesn't include Banjo and Kazooie, so they're still good to use. Any characters past that point, however, they cannot use in a tournament mode.
That's so cherry picking, especially when like we don't even know who the DLC characters are that are coming out.
Right.
And also, way to just like clip the wings of your competitive fighting game because you release a fighter and that's how you keep the game moving, because the whole dynamic of the game changes when you introduce a new fighter. And
exactly.
So, I mean, it's excellent. It works really well for fighting games. Here, Nintendo France is clipping their own game's wings. And I feel like somebody from higher up came over to France and they were like, monsieur, madame and monsieur? I don't know how to say no in French, but I would have said it right there.
I think that was close enough. That was pretty accurate.
Or how to say hose mad in French. Ooh, one of our French listeners, could you respond and tell us how to say hose mad in French?
I would actually be very interested in seeing that. But yeah, no, just a couple days later, Nintendo France made another announcement, and they said they are rescinding this decision.
Yeah.
So, Oni, what do you think of this entire thing?
Well, clearly I just said what I thought, so sorry. I couldn't even like contain myself on what I thought. I just like had to shout it out when you were trying to get through the news. You're a really nice person, Galen. I'm sorry I'm a jerk.
Aw, thank you.
And yeah, it's dumb. I think that everybody is overreacting, but that's the internet these days. Is just everybody overreacts about everything and shouts, and nobody talks to each other like they're human beings. So
yeah,
I'm not surprised by any of this.
Well, and I hate to say it, and I hate to take the side on it, but Smash Bros is also one of those games that it's viewed with such high regard that anytime you do anything with it, either for positive or for negative, it's going to cause some ripples.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. This is a weird one.
It's dumb to ban characters that aren't even created yet. That's stupid.
Yeah, absolutely. 100%.
It's a really, really bad rule, and I can't believe it got anything further than what is that called? Like the conference table in a meeting room.
Yeah. Although I can understand a little bit as to why they would be wanting to make a decision like this. And I don't think they're looking so much at Smash Ultimate, they're looking more at Smash 4, particularly with Bayonetta. Because when Bayonetta came out, she was incredibly unbalanced. And
sure, but you know who that was up to, though? It was up to the development team who changed her stuff around, making her a more fair fighter. Like, playing as Bayonetta in Smash 5 versus the very beginning of Smash 4 when she first launched, like night and day.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And if I remember correctly, when they came out with Bayonetta, they didn't really do any, like, updates or anything like that after the fact. Maybe
no, they
one
did.
or two. But
they did.
Did they?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Like, some combos I noticed not connecting as well. There was more delay. And then from the last update of 4, jumping to 5, there was even more updates.
Well, yeah, of course. I mean, when you are upgrading to 5, I'm considering it a brand new game, and everything else prior to that is basically a moot point. I mean, that's kind of the reason why people go back to playing Melee when, 4 and 5 are a thing. It's because
Melee is a unique
way...
beast of smelly people in the corner at the FGC. Like, that game has a whole bunch of mechanics in it that were unintended, like basically breaking the game and then using it to break the game, like wave dashing and all that stuff. Like, none of that was intended, but it's just something that you're able to jimmy in the game, and people have gone with it. Fascinating stuff, honestly. Really fascinating from a development and consumer standpoint, but
100%.
I don't know. That's a unique thing. I don't think we can compare much to Melee.
So,
what?
Do you think this is going to be something that will come up in the future again? Like, do you feel like...
Hell yes. Now that they just blew this out of proportion for no damn reason, yes, people are going to keep talking about this, and I do a big eye roll. I do the biggest eye roll hair flip ever.
Do you ever feel like it is a good idea to ban a particular character in a game? Whether it's a fighting game or any kind of competitive game?
I don't know, because ultimately my thought is that we're focusing on the wrong, like, we have an argument here. We're focusing on the wrong aspect of this argument. This should be brought up to the developers to adjust the game in a way that, they need to take criticism and they need to take feedback and make adjustments as they see fit from their, for lack of a better word, professional point of view. But if they don't do it, then I understand people being like, well, we have to take it in our own hands. So I understand the method of thinking for sure. It's definitely a case-by-case situation. I'm not involved in the FGC as I used to be when I was in my teens. Like, with like Street Fighter 2 and Marvel vs. Capcom, those things I used to play all the time in the arcades, and that's when I was really into it. Nowadays, I want to be into it because I have that fervor inside of me for it, but I just don't have the, I think, dedication, maybe the time to get into it. So I don't think I can judge it properly because I know I'm uninformed on this.
Okay.
But that's a really good question, I think, to ask to any of our listeners who are super into fighting games. So I'd love to hear educated people's opinion on this.
And I would also love to hear the opinion of where do you draw the line on what makes a character overpowered to the point where you need to consider banning them?
Yeah, because overpowered is it's not like a definable anything. That's just a person's feeling, So, I don't know. When a character breaks the mechanics and plays completely differently from other characters in the game, like we saw with like Day 1 Bayonetta in Smash 4, where suddenly she was just linking combo to combo to combo, and it's like, well, but you don't have a way to break out of that combo if it just keeps connecting, right? So
Yeah.
let's take like Bayonetta's constant air combo nonsense in Day 1 Smash 4 to something like Marvel vs. Capcom 3, where you had the ability to break out of that combo if you just kept getting comboed in, as long as you could do a technical maneuver. And then suddenly it knocked the character back that was beating you up, and then you broke out of that. If they had something like that in Smash, that wouldn't consider Bayonetta a breakable character. Or breakable? Sorry, a OP character.
Yeah. Well, and I think you also have to consider some of the aspects of the frequency at which a particular character is played. Like, we live in a society at this point where tier lists are an actual thing.
Wait. I got big old problems with that. I'll reserve part 1 of my argument, but part 2, the tier list thing, that's all subjective. Tier lists are made up.
100%.
Yeah, so I mean,
100%
people
that
always
is.
like to make tier lists because they love to put things in boxes and they love to assign names and rules and things to anything in society.
It's a niche that you can see on YouTube videos and websites. It's like, here's my tier list for Smash Bros. Characters.
It's the same exact thing with like reviews, and they want a number. They don't want to read why or how. They want to just see a number, and then they make their own decision of it. Like, wait, should I get Untitled Goose Game? Like, on a scale of 1 to 10, what's the number? So that way I can decide. Like, no, like, here's why it's good, or here's why it's lacking in these reasons. No, number. 8, 9, 7. If it's a 7, I'm not going to buy it.
And for some people, that's what they're looking for. They don't bother to read the review or anything. They're looking for just that bottom line.
If that is you, literally get off my planet.
No.
I don't care that I'm being overly harsh.
Yeah, that's a terrible way to look at things. It's such a narrow-minded way to... yeah. Anyway, but I do want... No, not entirely. So the reason I brought up the whole aspect of tier lists is because whether or not they are a valid thing, which is an argument on its own, there are people who are affected by them and look at it. Like, if I was to say, hey, Fox is top tier, well, that increases the chances of somebody who is a little bit more competitive who would want to learn and play good as Fox, and we are going to see that more and more frequently.
But only if you're a person that has, like, clout on the internet with what you say, right? Like, if, what's that Mewtwo guy? He comes out and he says this is his tier list, then that's going to make waves. If you say it, no one cares. That's not like a Galen. It's just like our level of human. No one cares.
Yeah, and I'm not necessarily saying that this is directed towards the people who are actually making the list. I'm talking about the people who read those lists and take those kind of opinions and considerations into effect. And it increases the amount of usage of those particular characters and players. And that really kind of affects things in a tournament scene as well, when
I disagree.
Especially games like Smash Bros are becoming such a watchable esport.
Yeah. I mean, like, everything that changed in Smash 5 was to make it more watchable and to make it more FGC friendly.
Exactly.
But I want to say though, like, with the use statistics or something that you mentioned before, there's a bunch of misnomers in those equations that people, jump to a conclusion on. So for example, I want to bring up that in like Smash 4 online, statistically, Little Mac was the character that lost the most. That's because his usage was really high and people didn't know how to play as him or whatever, and they kept dying a ton.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. That
That doesn't mean that he's a bad character. It meant that a bunch of people played him and a bunch of people didn't know how to play him.
Exactly.
So there is no definitive anything on this, but everybody wants it to be a definitive everything. Just like with reviews, like, oh, this is a 9 out of 10 game. Like, I'm bringing it back because, like, it's just, it's that stupid of logic, and I'm trying to, like, explain to people and, like, shake them out of their syndrome of being like, no, but we want an answer. And I'm like, no, but there really isn't one.
Yeah. I want to kind of jump genres a little bit here and talk about something that's related to this.
Final Fantasy.
A couple of years back in Magic the Gathering, there was a new expansion that came out, and they had a brand new mechanic where you could actually put the creatures that you're in vehicles and drive them around. with this new mechanic, they introduced a card that was very cheap and had a really good, solid effect to it. It was to the point where every single deck was using it, because this card could literally go into everything. And when you would look at tournament plays and top winning decks and everything, everybody was using Thoptercopter.
That is the dumbest name I've ever heard in my life.
It is kind of a silly name, but I mean, you would see 4 copies of Thoptercopter on top of everything else, and there wasn't any variety. Every deck looked exactly the same if you wanted to compete at a competitive level. So in one of the faster turnarounds for the series, they just banned the cards straight out and just said, hey, you can't use that in this format until this gets under control. And they did that because they wanted that variety there. I feel that with the rise of people wanting to use Hero, this is a similar situation where more people are going to want to use him because of that unpredictability factor, and because they had an issue with Bayonetta where, in one of the last Smash 4 tournaments, it was a Bayonetta versus Bayonetta mirror match that was super boring to watch and got a lot of flack because it was just nobody wanted to sit through this tournament final. I think they're preemptively trying to shy away from that kind of a thing. Now, they were wrong with it, and they corrected themselves, but I feel like this kind of a decision is giving a glimpse to the mindset that they are in.
So, your thing with the poopter coopter, that brings up an interesting point, because something that is, say, unrelated to official Nintendo, not Nintendo France, holding a big competitive fighting game tournament that's big enough to have clout. If they were the ones that did the ban because they're like, no, listen, we're trying to send a message to the team, the dev team, that says this character is unbalanced and we need an update to this character being balanced. So we're trying to facilitate change by making a splash saying, no, he's banned in this tournament until Sakurai fixes it or whatever. Mm-hmm. That is something that I can get behind to some degree. That at least makes a lot of sense in my brain. I don't know whether I support it or not, but that makes a lot of sense in my brain. But this was Nintendo France themselves doing this. And it's like, no, wait, you have clout though. Just talk to your affiliates. I'm not saying it's simple or anything, but you at least got their number. You got Japan's phone number, and you can be like, listen, Moshi Moshi, we need some Chosei to happen right now on this DLC Tsuika Contents Hero.
Mm-hmm. Well, I don't know. I feel like it's both a blessing and a curse to be in a situation where something in a competitive format can be updated on the fly. That whole example that I just used of the Magic the Gathering, banning the card was the easiest solution because it's not like you could change that card. I mean, you can't say, well, we're going to reprint this one and use the newer version of it or something like that. It doesn't work that way. Video games are the only ones that I can think of where that ability of, hey, we're going to put out an update, we're going to tweak some numbers, we're going to make it a little bit more fair for everybody else. That's the only medium that I can think of that can do that.
Yeah, that all sounds like positives. Where's the negative?
Well, the negative is also the cost of putting out that update and tweaking those numbers. We've seen it before in other things like Street Fighter and Tekken, where they've come out with new updates and the changes that they've made have completely thrown everything out of balance.
Oh,
and
I see what you're saying.
They did more harm
nerfing
than good by fixing it. Yeah.
Yeah, that does happen.
Yeah, I don't think it's as simple as just somebody with clout going up and saying, hey, you guys need to fix this because we're hearing some words.
Oh, yeah,
there's a lot more to it than that.
Yeah. I agree. But, I mean, that's why it's up to the developers to make a good video game, and that's why they're under so much pressure to do one, because it's such an incredible balancing act to actually get that done correctly. But then that's why people vote with their wallets to either play the game or not play the game because it's trash or it's good or whatever,
Yeah.
So anyway, bookending this story, Nintendo of France, being French, saying something, changing their mind. I'm sorry.
No.
I should not say that on the pod. I've been hanging out with all my European friends out here in Tokyo, and so it's fun to say those kinds of like little jokes because they know I'm not serious by any means. But I shouldn't say that on the podcast. I'm sorry. Whatever. I'm leaving it in. Hey, we have so many lovely listeners all throughout Europe, and we have a lot of European listeners that write in, step up your game, Americans, and basically every other continent. And so, thank you. I don't know where I'm going with that. I was just noticing this morning when I was putting together like the emails on our email list, I was like, damn, even though like our main viewership comes straight out of North America, we always get lots of Europeans writing in. I like it like that.
It is definitely really cool to see that, international level of community of just people who love games and want to talk about games. Doesn't matter where they're from.
Yeah. Thank you very much, everybody, for listening. Besides Antarctica, we have everybody on every continent listening to us. Not every country yet, though.
I don't think the penguins can play with the flippers and the Joy-Cons.
There's people living in Antarctica. They're not from there, but like there's like a small colony. Have you not seen Thing?
Actually, no. I have not seen The Thing.
Oh my god. Like
I know.
Please.
It's a shame.
We're ending this podcast right now because I don't even want to talk to you.
We're ending it just so I can watch the movie?
Yeah, it's great.
I really should see it. It's one of those movies that I have no objection to seeing it. I would like to see it, but I've never been in a place where I don't have to go out of my way to see it.
Excuses. That's all I hear is tiny baby excuses. Let's talk about tiny baby games in your hand.
With tiny baby drivers.
Oh! That was good.
Thank you.
Here we go!
So Mario Kart Tour launched properly on mobile.
Yeah.
Now, I'm going to break this up into two talking points here. One is sales figures, and then the other is kind of the monetization that they go with. So let's start off with the monetization. Mario Kart Tour, as investors want it to be, is one of those gacha games with microtransactions and all that crap that ruin it.
Yep.
So, the gacha rates, as Nintendo does a good job of revealing their gacha rates even before it was kind of mandated, or is in the process of being mandated, Nintendo always reveals what the appearance rates are. And the appearance rates in this one, I think, are not good. I don't genuinely know, but from what I can see from consensus, it's not particularly great. So you like launch a pipe after completing races or whatever, or doing your microtransaction, and each one has 100 launches in total, I guess, each pipe.
Each pipe has like different outcomes that you can get from it.
Yeah, and then there's like, different tiers of things like normal, rare, extra rare. Then there's the time-sensitive ones, because gotta spend your money. Gotta gamble, everybody, on your phone. That thing that's in your pocket, that's the world, the window to the world and mass information. Make sure you gamble on that, so that way you cause ruin to yourself financially.
Yep.
We don't really need to go through all the rates. You can check it out on our website. We have all of them detailed and exactly which characters and which carts and junk that come in the different tiers. But normal is around a 5% appearance rate. The super is around 1% appearance rate. And then high-end stuff is lower than that. And yeah, it's kind of... It's not great from what I'm hearing from people.
No. I downloaded the game. I got the little notification because a little while ago I clicked on the preload, hey, notify me when this game actually does launch button. And yeah, it popped up and I was like, all right, I'll download it. And I think I played it once and just have not gone back to it because, yeah, the microtransactions, they are aplenty.
The base game feels kind of fun from what I remember from the beta, and if it plays like the beta, I think it feels kind of fun. I have no interest in downloading it.
Yeah, they seem to have tightened up the controls on it just a little bit.
Okay.
But, I remember... Yeah, I just remember having to move around on the screen a little bit less in the beta than I had to do in this new one. it seemed a little bit more demanding of skill, where with the last one it was a little bit easier.
Please, demanding of skill as I rub on my phone to... come on. You're in the grocery line. Demanding of skill.
Yeah, no, it's... I don't know. I'm not impressed with it, honestly. I'm not going to continue playing it.
So there's that, and then there's this very interesting thing that's going on with Mario Kart Tour. There's something called a Gold Pass subscription, which we've been teasing about in the beginning of our show.
Yeah.
There's something called, and I don't know because I'm not big into phone... Well, I'm not into phone games. I don't know if this exists. I have to imagine it does exist on other games, but this is the first I'm really hearing about it. There is something that Nintendo has announced for Mario Kart Tour called a Gold Pass subscription. You pay $5 USD each month, and then players can access more in-game rewards. I don't know if they're unique or not or whatever. And then first-time users get, I think, 2 weeks of that for free, I guess.
Yes.
We have full details on our website that talk about getting different kinds of gold, special in-game badges, unlocking 200cc, and there's a whole bunch of details, lots of text, which is just a straight up, like, what's that called? Screenshot of a bajillion different things.
Yeah.
However, here's the thought. $5 per month for a mobile game that doesn't even unlock all of the content, that's $60 per year, and that's ongoing. This is making the Nintendo Switch Online sound like a good subscription.
Right.
Like, that's how much I don't think that this is a good idea. But...
No, this is a terrible idea.
But here's the thing. We all know that microtransactions suck. We all know that they're bad. We all know. But it's exploiting people. Wait, let me finish my damn sentence, you bitch. This is not about whether it's good or not. This is just about exploiting people of money and getting those people that have addictive personalities to spend money on it, and then that way they just get money. That's all that this is about. Like, it's the scummiest of scummy.
This goes beyond microtransactions in my mind. Like, I liked the idea of Super Mario Run because for $15 you can unlock like the entire game.
Wait, it wasn't 15, was it? I feel like it was maybe 10, right?
I think it started at 15 and then it went down.
I thought it was 10 and it went down to 5. Either way, 10 is too high for a mobile game.
I know it was $5 at one point. Regardless.
Yeah.
They had an entry-level price point where you could be like, hey, I don't want to deal with the microtransactions, but I do enjoy this game. I want to go ahead and support it with my money dollar votes. So, yes, I will go ahead and do a one-time thing. I liked that option.
Yeah, me too.
I cannot support a reoccurring monthly fee where you will still have freaking microtransactions that you have to put up with and go through. And the only benefits that you are getting are a couple of cosmetic things and some badges. Like, that's ridiculous to me.
But Galen, it doesn't matter. People will buy it because they have addictive personalities and they have gambling right in their pocket right there.
And as we'll find out when we go over the sales figures, people are buying it. But I think it is a bad idea.
Yeah, of course. But it doesn't even matter because you know what? The investors in the boardrooms are clapping. They love it. They hated Super Mario Run because it was a one-time purchase thing. And Super Mario Run didn't make as much money as it could have because it was a one-time purchase thing.
Yeah. Ugh.
It doesn't matter.
It makes me feel dirty.
All about grossness and exploiting people of money.
You know what? As we are talking about this right now, I am uninstalling this game from my phone.
That is like such a nerdy, like taking a stand kind of thing. I mean, I'm not unsupporting you in doing that, but it's just, I don't know. That reminds me of what was that podcast? The most embarrassing thing ever.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
Yes, I showed it to you.
Star Wars
yeah.
one. Yes.
And he's like, here I am, busting my ass as a Star Wars fan for 5 years, and that was the most embarrassing shit I think I've ever heard in my life. And we talk about Nintendo. Like, this is nerd levels of embarrassing for sure. But I'm never going to pretend like I'm like, I don't know, a businessman on this.
Broken glass house.
Yeah, that's fine. So, you know what, that's a good segue. Mario Kart Tour killing it in terms of downloads. Huge day one numbers for downloads.
I was not expecting the success in this game.
Me too.
For these numbers that we've seen.
However, there's a caveat with this. Okay, so the story is Mario Kart Tour, 20 million downloads in one day. That it knocks it out of the park. The number 2 is Super Mario Run at 7 million downloads in one day. And then following that is 1.8 million downloads with Fire Emblem Heroes, and so on and so forth. They're lower and lower from there with Animal Crossing, Dr. Mario World, which I was surprised wasn't more of a hit. Really surprised about that one. But anyway.
I think I read somewhere that Pokemon Go was like 6.7 million.
Oh, okay.
Downloads.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That's really interesting because that was a phenomenon.
Mm-hmm.
That was a true social zeitgeist.
Yeah.
So anyway, 20 million downloads. That is an insane success in terms of downloads. However, and this is a good number, $1 million in player spending in one day. However, that is so much lower than Fire Emblem Heroes had, 4.3? Yeah, 4.3 million on launch day. And that's a huge disparity in spending versus downloads. Like, what is it? Fire Emblem Heroes had almost 2,000%, am I doing math right? Lower downloads than Mario Kart Tour, but 400% more in terms of revenue player spending in one day. Mm-hmm. That's a huge disparity, right?
Yeah. No, that definitely shows that there is a definitive correlation there's not a correlation between downloads versus overall income earned.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. I think that this shows the branding power of the IP Mario Kart. That's the branding power of the IP. That's what this is a real testament to. And I think we already knew this. This is not a surprise. The best-selling game on Switch is Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, an upgraded port from a Wii U game, right?
It's true.
So we know that this is the most powerful freaking IP. But, it's gross. I don't want video games ever to end and just become mobile efforts. That's the day that I legitimately get out of the business.
Here's my problem with all this. Like, good on Nintendo. I'm glad that they're having success and they're proving that their branding is as strong as ever.
Oh god, I have a twitch in my eye right now just talking about this nonsense. Go on.
I know. I cringe at the fact that this is just encouraging all of these bad practices that we have been complaining about for years now.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like where this is going. How's that Twitch doing?
So, we'll see if the future of video games ends. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I feel like talking about Mario Kart Tour never again now, but I'm sure it's going to come up on the damn news and we're going to have to talk about it.
Oh, probably at some point. I feel like it's like dropped the mood of the podcast.
I was just about to say that. I was just about to say that. This is a bummer episode,
I feel
honestly.
Sad now.
And there's so many good games that have come out and stuff too. It's just I haven't touched them yet. So like, I don't know. There's good news out there. It's just we're talking about bummers right now. Sorry, everybody.
Right.
So let's talk about something that is not a bummer, and that is the Switch. The Switch Lite has launched this week, and we've got some numbers on it. I don't think we have North American figures just yet, but we do have numbers in the UK. Was it UK or was it EU? I think it's just the UK. This is too small of a number. It sold 13.5 thousand in the UK. Is that launch day? Is that launch weekend? I don't even know. Boy, hold on. Let me just get numbers. I'm sorry.
Launch period.
Launch period. No, that's even more vague, dude. We have to inform our people. Eirik listens to the podcast for Nintendo news. Remember he said that. Hold on. Where the hell is it?
While he looks up this, Eirik, I'm sorry that we are your news source.
No, I already apologized for that. I don't know. Check out our website, NintendoEverything.com. You can figure it out yourself. What a jackass. I'm terrible. And then the bigger number here, though, for sure, is basically 178,000 units within the first 3 days after launch in Japan. That's a really big number.
That's pretty good.
Now, Galen, you have some additional numbers to share off of this, right?
Yeah, I looked it up while I was reading this. So, as a comparison, the original Switch on launch weekend, it sold about 330,000 copies. So, we're looking at a little over half of what the Switch originally started with.
Mm-hmm.
In the grand scheme of things, and I got this from Nintendo's actual website, they have sold 36.8 million units of the Switch overall.
Did they have a date on that as to when those figures were?
I would have to look that up. It was directly from their site, and
it was from their site, but you have to have numbers because that's not like how many they sold today. That was like how many were sold since April of this year.
I remember that number specifically being told in one of their
investor briefing.
Why not think? Yes, thank you.
Okay. Guess what? That poll that I put up earlier, is Galen gonna quit or is he gonna be fired? I'm adding my vote to that.
Okay.
Fired.
A whopping 3 votes.
Hey, this is the official Nintendo Everything podcast vote poll. This isn't Galen's Twitter vote poll. Where the hell was I going? Oh, okay. So there was a point that I wanted to bring up about this that I haven't really seen anybody talking about in terms of the Japanese numbers. I think people have kind of forgotten about this or they didn't even know about it. So like including ourselves, we haven't mentioned this in any of our articles. But starting October 1st in Japan, that's when the consumption tax jumps up from 8% to 10%. So that affects purchases of systems as well. You know, large purchases like a TV, whatever. So that possibly could be adding a bit to the sales figures as well. I think that in this following week of sales of the Switch Lite, we will see more sales, and then the following week a big drop. Because I think if people are like, I'm on the fence of purchasing it, I'm probably going to buy it, they're going to buy it before the consumption tax jumps another 2%.
Okay.
At least on big purchases.
That is interesting.
And I mean, the Switch Lite is only like around $200, so it's not a huge purchase, but you know, it's something.
Yeah. As a side note, I do want to point out, I looked up the site again, and those numbers that I read out were as of June 30th, 2019.
Thank you. That is good, important information to always know. Learn from your mistakes, Galen, and be sure to inform with time periods.
You know what? I will definitely do a much better job at citing my sources. I would hate to be that kind of person who just says, I don't know, let's check out the site if you want the info.
Yeah, that would be the worst. That would be the worst Küche.
So, Oni, I do have a question for
you.
Oh,
is that what we're doing right now? We're going to stand off on silence?
Yeah, a little bit. How have your opinions of the Switch Lite either changed or stay the same since it has come out? Like, have you actually gotten to see one of them in person or any sort of interaction with it yet?
No, nothing. Moving on.
All right.
Yeah, like, I don't have an opinion of it very strongly because it's not for me. If the Switch Lite could dock,
that would be the selling point for it.
Yeah, for sure. But, I mean, I already have a Switch. I already have everything that thing does. I don't need it. That's for people who are trying to have the newest system, and it's only, $200. And, for kids, it's a good fit as well. But it doesn't do anything for me. It's just not marketed toward me at all. So I don't feel strongly of it. I feel like it does fit a portion of their market. What do you think?
Yeah. Well, and personally, I don't think that I would pick this up myself, although I can see the benefit of, just like you said, a system for kids, or just more importantly, if you have a main Switch in the house, but you have other kids in the house who also want to play it, and there's ever dispute, having a second one and having a cheaper entry point for that second one, it does seem to be a good option.
Yeah, they need to, and I think that they said that they're going to do this in some capacity. Keep your expectations low. It's Nintendo in terms of this, but they need to have the account linking thing and cloud save data transfer be super easy. So that way you can be playing on your main Switch on your TV, and then cloud save it straight over to your other thing, so that way, your Switch Lite, so that way you can pick that one up and go outside or whatever the hell.
Well, and here's my question, and I would love to revisit this question a couple of months down the road once the system's been out for a while. I would love to see if this affects the physical versus digital game purchase.
Why?
Because it's so much easier. Well, it would. The way I see it, it would be easier to take a cartridge out from the Switch Lite and put it into the Switch, and then take it back and forth, as opposed to having to deal with like downloading the game on both.
We're not going to see any kind of distinguishable sales figures on that at all.
You don't think so?
No. That is too tiny of a detail.
I would also admit it'd be really hard to kind of look that up, but
yeah,
I would be interested to see if that does make a difference.
Mm-hmm. But as long as they have like an account linking thing, so that way you can be like, this is my primary Switch and here's my secondary Switch, kind of like a similar thing with the PS4. I think that you can't, like, you can have those things linked up, but you both can't be playing at the exact same time.
Yeah.
And that would make sense. I don't know, it's sloppy. It's something that definitely I think gaming is still trying to figure out how to do it the proper way.
You know what I'm trying to figure out?
What?
I went to Target the other day, saw the Switch Lite on sale for $200, and the new Nintendo 2DS on sale for $170 right next to it.
Is that really how much it costs?
Yep, that's what I saw. Local Target.
The new Nintendo 2DS XL is $170?
Yeah.
I swear it was so much cheaper. I thought it was $120.
I thought so too.
Hold on, let me look this up because you're
$2DS
so uninformed, Galen.
The old 2DS was on sale right next to it for like $80.
$150 US.
Yeah, I'm seeing $150. Maybe it went on sale since I was last there. But yeah, it's still.
Maybe it was a bundle with some sort of game. But yeah, $150.
Could have been.
When you've got a
that's
Switch that's
super high.
$200, $150 suddenly seems like.
Yeah. I just thought that was worth pointing out.
The new 2DS XL is a nice hardware. Like it's old tech, but it's.
Mm-hmm.
I do like that
lots
system
of games
a lot.
Out for it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's still a worthy purchase in my opinion if you're looking to play a big backlog of games that'll be cheaper for sure. But I mean, it's not the new current system, so if they can get that price point closer to like $100 US, that would be good. But at the same time, like whatever, they're trying to focus on Switch. The 2DS and 3DS family died faster than Nintendo was expecting, so it's fine. It's fine.
Yeah.
So that about does it for us wilding and complaining and whining. Let's talk about additional DLC.
Additional DLC.
You never, ever have said... Why now? Why?
It's been a while.
What? Go.
All right, I'll kick this off. So, my additional DLC is a Magic the Gathering related item. So, this is...
I'm kidding. Go on.
This is more of a public service announcement more than anything else. Their new expansion, Throne of Eldraine, is coming out pretty soon. So, they've got a pre-release going on at your local game stores this weekend that the podcast launches.
What are you doing? Like, we need to be getting money if you're going to be shelling them out. What is this? This is not an advertised bit. We don't have any sponsors on this.
I am broadcasting out to people who know about the game but may not know the specifics. So, what this new expansion is all about, it's fairy tale themed. So think, Grimm's fairy tales meets Camelot Arthurian lore. And that is all what my jam is all about. I love that kind of stuff. They've got some really fun new mechanics in there. There's something called an adventure mechanic where you can send your cards out on little adventures and they give a little extra ability before they actually come into play. And yeah, it's just like anybody who's familiar with the card game Magic is definitely going to appreciate this, and I think this is a very fun and reinvigorating time for the game itself. What I have linked below is actually the trailer that they have for this, and it is this little like Shrek-esque side story of these two gingerbread people in the world of magic who are brought to life, and they have this little adventure while all this stuff is going on, and they have that old song, Can't Take My Eyes Off of You in the background. It's so bizarre, it threw me off the first time I watched it, but I loved every second of it.
I love you, baby.
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah, and like I was saying before, they've got pre-release events over at most game stores that are happening the weekend this podcast comes out, but the actual release is going to be on October 4th. And they usually have some like cool promo events and stuff like that when the new set launches. So yeah, check it out. It's a lot of fun.
Why didn't you contact them and try and get an ad spot on this? Because it's basically what you're doing is free promotion.
True. However, we are now showing that we are up for free promotion.
What? What value is that demonstrating to our listeners or our promoters or our potential, what are those called? Sponsors.
To be fair, I just really like magic stuff and I just wanted to talk about it.
Yeah. That's what you need to say. You shouldn't say, hey, we'll do free promotion for you. Don't pay us money, but dictate what we put on the show.
By getting in contact with us and we can start talking.
This is why Oni Dino runs the show.
Oni, what do you got for your additional DLC this week?
So I'm not shilling nothing. I'm just going to recommend this guy on YouTube that I really like. You've probably heard me talking about him a little bit. His name is Thor High Heels.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, he's got a video that came out like a bit ago. It's just I've only watched it recently. Came out a couple weeks ago. The title is called Cool Japan Only PS1 Games. And he doesn't mean cool like, you need to check this out. But he means like cool as in like the aesthetic. And he's talking about games that you really don't hear people talking about. So I don't want to say very much about it. I will say that like, if you click on this, you're not going to hear people talking about the games that you always hear people calling underrated gems or whatever. And Thor High Heels just has like a really weird editing style. It's bizarre and entrancing. Entrancing, if that's a word? I don't know.
Nope, that's a word.
He speaks kind of funny too. He's a Dutchman. My God, I need to stop making jokes at the expense of people's nationalities. I've been around my European friends here too much. It's lovely being around different nationalities because you can insult everyone. It's my favorite thing to do is insult people.
I know.
So check out Thor High Heels Shut Up Galen on YouTube. His new YouTube video is called Cool Japan Only PS1 Games. How has the show gotten worse? We're almost at 50 episodes. We're leveling down.
You know what? I'll be happy when we get to 54. That'll be a special one.
Why?
There are 54 weeks in a year.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
But we missed one, so it should really be 53.
Oh, yeah.
Have we really been doing... Oh my God, this sucks.
We've been doing this for almost a year.
I'm so sorry, everyone.
And this is still the best we can do.
What do you expect? So, let's listen to some listener mail because I can't believe people listen to us. Thank you, and I love you. I will always be your virtual friend.
You guys are awesome.
Oh, and if you want to write into us, you can write into us to our email, NintendoEverythingPod@gmail.com.
That email one more time is NintendoEverythingPod@gmail.com.
Keep these emails coming. We've been getting a lot of them in, and we do have a bit of a backlog, but that's good. We like to keep it that way, so everybody keep writing in.
Yep.
I'm recognizing names and faces. Not faces, but you know.
Well, I mean, sometimes we get faces.
If you wrote into Nintendo Everything Pod, your email might sound a little something like Jay's.
Jay writes in, I need some life advice. Oni, this is right up your alley.
I'm great at life advice. Let me tell you, I've got a great life. The best life. Why am I... Suddenly I sound like Trump. This is awful. Go on.
So I sent an email a few weeks ago asking about your 3DS backlogs.
Yeah.
And, yeah, I remember that one. And one of the games on mine was Xenoblade Chronicles 3D. now that the definitive edition is announced, should I just wait and purchase that? With my busy schedule, I probably won't get around to it until 2020 anyway. So, decisions. Thanks, Jay.
Thank you, Jay. And I've got feelings on this one because you probably know how much I love the Xenoblade series.
Absolutely. Tell us about your feelings on this.
No. You should go first because I'm going to be the one talking too much. So you go first.
Well, really, it depends. My opinion on this thing is, for one, I mean, always saving money is always a great thing. But I ask you, what do you want to get out of your JRPG experience? Like, I feel like Xenoblade Chronicles was one of those games where the grandeur of everything and just the surrounding and the level design and just the backgrounds and everything really kind of helped immerse you in the game itself. So with that being said, the Switch is going to be the much better option to kind of get that experience within the game. But if you're in there more for the story and you just don't really mind that visual aesthetic to it, I say just go for the 3DS version.
So my thought on this is, if you're anything like me, Jay, and I know I am, you probably are already just like, I should buy the new one because I'm already thinking about it, right? As much as I am about like saving money and stuff, I think this is a purchase you can make. Honestly, dude, like this is already, and just from the little teaser images of visuals alone that we've seen, they're really putting a lot of effort into this one. They're changing so many different things up. That excites me, but the prospect of them changing up a whole bunch of quality of life changes, like hopefully a bigger inventory, a run button, just different kinds of quality of life things is going to make that game so much better. It's going to probably reduce the slowdown that you get on the Wii and the 3DS during like big battles. Well, I don't know. That's lofty. That's a lofty thought. But if you play your 3DS version, and I do think that you should, so that way you have like a comparison kind of thing. You don't have to play it like the whole way through, but you know, just play a good chunk of it. I mean, that's a good game in the first place. If you play your 3DS version only, and then that Switch version comes out, you're going to feel unfulfilled. You know what I mean? And you're going to be like, oh, I should get that. And if this were a different system, different situation, I don't know, Jay, where in the world you live, but if you live in the States, you probably know that Nintendo games really don't go on sale very often. You might get $5 or $10 off or something like that. So waiting for like Xenoblade Definitive Edition to go on sale is a bit of a losing game in terms of, you know, how much money you're going to save versus how long you're going to wait for that sale to actually come about. If you live in the EU, specifically the UK, those prices fluctuate all the time. And I mean, even on launch day, you don't have to buy that thing for €60. Yeah, so it sort of depends on all of these different factors, but my main my main life advice that I can give to you is just get the Switch version. But you've got time to think about it, so we got time to see like what's in this new definitive edition, like what is updated besides just the visuals, right? That will be more of the driving factor when we hear more information, but honestly probably just purchase it. That way you and I can talk about it too, like
You know what I could challenge is like try playing the 3DS version a little bit later this year if you have time. Not enough time to like fully dedicate yourself to it. So when you do get busy with stuff, you know what the game is like, you know how it plays and what is interesting to you. When the definitive edition does come out later down the road, you can decide, do I want to continue my 3DS or restart and see everything with all of these added features on the Switch.
I feel like I just said that.
Yeah, but my version was much shorter.
No, I said so much more than you did. Jay, write back into us and tell us who had the better advice.
Wasn't
you know
it the same
whom
advice?
to vote for, Jay.
Get another poll up on the site.
Yeah, another poll. God, I don't even remember how many polls or what even we were talking about. So thank you so much for writing in, Jay. Let me know, like, when you actually do get around to your Xenoblade Chronicles on the 3DS. Let me know how you're getting on with it, because I could talk about that series all day long. And then we have yet another J name who is written into us this week. on NintendoEverythingPod@gmail.com. We got an email from Jenny.
Hey, Jenny. Jenny writes in, "Hello, Oni and Galen. I'm a new listener since episode 37, I think." And then I look back at that. I think that was actually when Fire Emblem was coming out.
Oh my god, that feels like it was just the other day. Hey, Jenny, thank you so much for being a new listener. How'd you find out about us? Let us know.
Welcome to the podcast.
Welcome to the shitcast.
Yeah. The podcast brightens my day at work when things are slow.
Oh, that's like the ultimate goal of podcasts, I think. I hope you're having a good day at work. I hope you're at work right now and you're having a nice day now.
I like that we can make people's work days go by a little bit easier.
Yeah, because, oh man, it's rough. Sometimes it's so rough.
At my actual job that I get paid money for, I work like 12, 13-hour days in a row.
Yeah, that's why he listens to Nintendo Everything Podcast nonstop.
Yeah, over and over and over again.
And yet, clearly, he still doesn't learn.
I mean, it's me.
Continue reading Jenny's emails and her lovely words.
I've learned so much about games while listening to you.
Oh my god.
You guys are so funny.
Arigato.
Yeah. I hope you guys had a great time in Japan at TGS.
Thank you. I did. Galen, didn't you?
Well, I had a great time in Japan.
Yeah.
I did not go to TGS, sadly. Maybe next year.
Yeah.
Since you guys talk about microtransactions in almost every podcast, I have a question for you. I live in Belgium, and all mobile games Nintendo will release in the future will not be downloadable here because the law defines in-game loot boxes as gambling. However, the law doesn't prohibit loot boxes. You can buy loot boxes if a game specifies which characters or items you'll get, so games such as Pokemon Go are still allowed. How do you feel about this law and Nintendo not releasing mobile games such as Dr. Mario or Mario Kart Tour in Belgium or other countries anymore, regardless of the game not having loot boxes? Personally, I don't really play mobile games. I've only played Fire Emblem Heroes and Animal Crossing for a little while. Also, Oni is the best. Galen, you help. Thanks for answering my question.
Thank you, Jenny.
Jenny, you are a valued writer, and I appreciate you, and I'm glad to help.
Oni Dino Psycho, Oni Dino Psycho, ima odotteru Oni Dino Psycho.
So, favorite best boy Oni, why don't you take this one first?
Are you okay? I feel like I could hear you chipping a tooth when your teeth are grinding right there.
Jenny, you're awesome. Thank you very much for writing in.
Thank you for writing in, Jenny. Yeah, so this is a complex question, so thank you for asking a good question. This has a lot of moving parts to it, wouldn't you say?
Yes, absolutely.
So there was a point that I made a little bit earlier about like the FGC and like whom should determine what and place, not blame, but like who should be making the decisions, right? So my thought is that rather than country by country making it illegal to play certain games because of the gambling, I think that it should be up to the, well, not up to, but it should be the video game industry that is regulated to not create exploitative gambling games.
Yeah.
But then how do you regulate a worldwide industry based in so many different countries releasing games in so many different countries and territories? That is impossible, right?
Yeah. And what incentive does a company have to self-regulate themselves when they have 20 million downloads and they make $1 million?
None. That's why self-regulation is total BS.
Exactly.
So it is a beast. I don't actually have like a not valid, like a final answer on how I feel about this, because it does suck to live in a country that suddenly you can't play this game, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you can switch your phone's territory with a VPN and have like a different country, like your Google Play Store is a different country, and then you can try out the games that way. So there are workarounds.
Yeah. Like, if you're running on an Android device, it's very easy to just download the app off of the marketplace and just kind of manually install it onto your system.
Okay.
As long as you have a jailbroken iPhone, you can do the same thing. But, that's extra steps that you have to go in order to play these games. And the big question is, are the games worth it,
Yeah, but I mean, even before that, like, just socially speaking, I don't really think it's good for, like, a country's government to limit what people can see or can do, because this is a muddy comparison, so I want to, like, preface it when I say this, but, like, look at, and this is a democratic country, South Korea. You can't access, like, adult material like pornography in South Korea. They've banned, like, websites like that. And that's also limiting what your people have the freedom to do, right? So while I'm not trying to defend, like, video games by any means, I'm trying to think about this as, like, a social issue where it's like, well, I can't just, like, cherry pick, well, I don't like, these video games, so these should be allowed to be banned. Like, no, you have to think about it in terms of, like, rules. You can't be cherry picking, because then you're a hypocrite and then your arguments don't hold water, right?
Yeah.
So it's very, very messy.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, the first part of the question and basically, like, the law defining in-game loot boxes as gambling, I feel like that part should be elaborated on in a lot more detail, because
yeah, like, I'm curious about, like, what is the definition that Belgian law is using on the word loot box or on microtransaction or whatever those buzzwords are that they have in their laws.
Because technically, if you think about it, like, baseball cards and I'm going to go to again, Magic Gathering cards.
You just keep bringing up all the same points, yes. But so do I, it's fine.
Those are considered as loot boxes.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Because you don't know what you're going to buy, and then you buy it, and then, yeah.
Exactly. It's just like you said, it's how loose are you making this term and how broad of a spectrum are you making it?
I mean, I do want to, like, bookend that sort of argument, though, with the reason, though, that, like, the phone one is a problem is because that you aren't actually getting any, well, this is a minor element, but you aren't actually getting anything in return for it. It's all a digital thing, but it's mostly that you're capable of spending all this money in your pocket so quickly, and it's become a huge problem in a lot of instances where, like, suddenly a child spends all this money on their parents' credit card, or people who have addictive personalities put themselves into debt. I think I recommended, like, a video that Jimquisition did a while ago where he was less of his annoying self and he was more informative, which I think is great. That's really good. And it brings some of those problems to light. So that's why this is a very serious issue. And it's not just like, haha, they're banning video games. Wow, that's stupid Belgium, or stupid video games, or whatever. Like, no, this is a social issue that we really need to explore, and it needs to kind of evolve with time, so that way we can figure out how to best do it. But part of it is that, like, the root of the evil is that the video game industries are continuing to produce these kinds of video games because everybody just wants more money. And when they have so much money, the investors or whatever, or the companies, they have so much money, they want even more of it. Look at Activision Blizzard, who are some of the worst perpetrators of this in the industry.
Yeah. Well, and also just video games in general have gone relatively unregulated, but also, like, just unobserved in this entire, like, growth of the industry as a whole.
Unobserved by whom?
Unobserved by the people who would be in a position to step in when these things were first starting to, like, sprout their heads. And so
unregulated?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. You did the 2-word thing again. I thought you were trying to make a point.
I was. Like, no other medium can I think of do you have an element of microtransactions and things like that in it when you are dealing with a medium that also deals with self-expression. Like, you don't have books where you buy a book and then in order to get this extra chapter, you have to buy this other pamphlet that goes along with it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you don't have a movie that you go ahead and watch, and then
and then spend an extra $2 to get the true ending.
Yeah. Actually, yeah, you do that now that I think about it, but it's done very poorly.
Yeah, that's why video games are their own unique entertainment and art medium, because they operate so differently.
Also, video games were also viewed as a very childish hobby for the longest time, even nowadays.
For the longest time. Nowadays, though, not so much.
Yeah, because people are seeing the amount of money that's coming behind it.
Right, that's the thing. And that's what investors have done, and that's why, like, it's gotten really screwed up in the last, 10 to 15 years, is because, like, people who don't give a damn about anything other than making money, they're like, oh, this is a medium that I can make money through. Let me go over there and make the money. They don't even care. They just want money in their pockets.
I see a bunch of whales over there.
Eat the rich, everybody. Honestly, eat the rich. Now, are we answering Jenny's question? I'm so sorry. Let me scoot through this again a little bit.
We're talking about loot boxes, and particularly how do we feel about them?
Yeah.
When it comes to the laws and the laws being implemented about restricting that content.
I will say that I don't think that an entire country should ban the access to something that other people do have. I don't think that that's the right way to do it. It goes kind of back to, this is funny, there's a lot of parallels here with like the Hero ban by Nintendo France kind of thing. Like, I understand that they're like trying to facilitate change perhaps, but that's not really the way to go about it, because what you're ultimately doing, your bottom end is that you are your bottom end. Jesus, I'm a child. I'm a 6-year-old. I'm a 6-year-old boy. You are.
Of course, you made it about butts.
I love butts so much. I tweeted about butts recently. So much, actually. I did a lot of butt tweets recently. Hey, follow me on Twitter for butts.
What?
Shut up. You're screwing up my stories. You're removing people's. This is sort of a buzzword, freedom to access certain things, just like South Korea with accessing pornography. And I mean, China is communist, so this is a bit more expected, but their access to certain websites like Facebook and Twitter. So that's not good. You can't just remove all of that, right?
Yeah.
The regulation needs to be at the level where it's being created, in my opinion. That's, I think, the most important thing. But how you go about that, holy shit, like that is a big old bag of cats.
That now we're getting into the territory of looking at it from a sociological.
We've been at that territory.
Well, I almost want to make the argument that having a country making a stand on their own personal ethics and morals and what they do or do not deem appropriate in the way that they want to guide their country in that way. While I do personally believe that sort of freedom is something or freedom of expression is something that should be shared by everybody, I can't necessarily blame a country for having a different outlook than what I personally have.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Well, and look at, like, video game censorship as far as, like, countries like Germany and Australia, and just how much or how stricter they are when it comes to what sort of elements of violence that they do show. You know, the game Command & Conquer Red Alert, where all of the enemies were turned into robots in the German version because they didn't want to show human-on-human violence. Like, I
Wait
feel
a second.
like...
Are you referencing like a PC game from like 95?
Yes, but my point is still the same. Like, different countries have taken different routes on what they deem is appropriate for the people within their country.
Yeah, I mean, look at Japan and like their pedophilia happy exploitations of
that's
and then
same
in like
topic but completely other corner of the box.
But that's what I'm saying though, is that like there's different views on different God, I don't even want to use the word expression, but I just have expressions of whatever is happening in their entertainment medium.
Yeah. But I feel like all of that kind of channels into this question that we're talking about here.
I guess the takeaway is that neither of us have like a definitive answer on this because it is a sloppy issue.
Correct.
Kind of bookending this with a little bit of like just general life outlook that I have and a bit of life advice I'd like to share with anybody in the world. It's okay if you don't have a final stance on something, because it's always okay to keep learning and to say, I'm not informed enough on this and I want to learn more.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you don't need to be like, are you yay or are you nay? And you need to decide right now. So, I don't know. I hope that was a satisfying answer for you, Jenny.
Yeah. And overall, it is a topic that should be discussed by more and more people.
Yes.
Like, we need as many opinions as possible if we're going to come to any sort of conclusion on this.
Also, when you talk to people about opinions, try and be nice. Like, don't just, like, shout at people.
Of course.
You're not actually facilitating discussion. All you're doing is, like, slinging insults until someone makes a sick burn and then everybody stops. Like, that, nothing happened there. If anything, the world got worse. So just try and have genuine discussions with people, or don't engage, or do engage in civil discourse. I hope that was a satisfying answer, Jenny. I can tell you, though, that Galen will definitely contradict himself in a future episode on something.
If I'm still here for that episode. Remember, the poll's still out there.
Well, am I wrong? So what is coming up? What's coming out on Nintendo Everything? Lots of stuff. Forgot to ask Brian what we're doing this week. Sorry.
Yeah. Sorry, Mr. Bossman person.
We are working hard on all of our post-TGS content. We already got lots of different things that we're releasing already on Contra. We've got full interviews coming out later. We got some super cool excerpts. I did a lot of interviews where I tried to get like a bit of information where it's like, okay, well, what's something you haven't really shared before? Or what's something that people haven't noticed that you want them to see on lots of different video games. You can listen to like last week's episode for like what we kind of talked about, and from there you can get some hints at what's definitely going to be coming up. But there's a lot of stuff I didn't mention or can't mention yet that will be coming out. So really this month, this upcoming month of October, be paying attention to our website, NintendoEverything.com. You don't want to miss it. That's not marketing speak too. That is genuine statement. You can also stay connected on our Twitter at NinEverything, and our YouTube, where I'm going to be uploading a couple more videos for sure of some stuff that I took footage. Oh, it's a rough one. Did I take a sleeping pill when I woke up? What happened to me? Our YouTube, go to our YouTube, NinEverything. You can also go to my Twitter, where sometimes I tell you that I was assaulted by a homeless person. At Oni_Dino. Shinjuku sucks. Like, what is happening to Tokyo? You can also see videos of me eating a sadness meal after I got assaulted by a homeless woman. At Oni_Dino.
I forgot to ask you about that story.
I can tell you a little bit now. I was just shopping, right? So like, I've been here for a minute, haven't had a chance to do any like clothes shopping or shoe shopping. So, and which I really don't do very often. I think the last time I really did buy clothes was about a year and a half ago. I don't do like the trend thing or anything. I just kind of peek around, see if there's anything good. So I was in east of Shinjuku, not even like, for people who are familiar with it, not even Kabukicho, not even like one of those, kind of areas. I was genuinely in a shopping area. And it's just so many tourists now, so I think that's why these homeless people hang out. And they're like the aggressive homeless people. Like, it's not like...
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's like beggars. It's not even people whom, like, I genuinely feel bad for. Like, people from the economic bubble burst from the early 90s, where they're homeless and they're just genuinely living on the street, like in West Shinjuku, over by like the Metropolitan building. I used to live over there, and I saw lots of them, and they always just kind of kept to themselves. I literally walked past them every day, and like once in a while, I'd be like, hey, do you want my onigiri or whatever? And just people that's like, it sucks, it just sucks, and they're minding their business. Anyway, this lady that assaulted me was freaking crazy person. I hate her. We were walking opposite directions, and she like saw me and immediately ran over to me like I was an old friend. And then she starts like and this is a big old no-no, especially in Japan. She starts touching me immediately, and like aggressive touching, like I can't really, but just like almost like hitting, like hey, like you're really trying to get someone's attention or whatever, like a child does basically. So she's out of her mind. Yeah, and she goes, hey, money, and I'm trying to like tell her like basically f off because I don't want her to know I speak Japanese, because then she's gonna talk to me more. So I'm just like, leave me, like go, like mo. And then she follows me for a whole block, and she's screaming at me for money, and I'm like, when is this lady gonna stop following me? We're in the most crowded area, so it's not like I'm the only person on the street. Like, I'm hoping that I'm gonna walk past a guard or somebody will do something, you know? And then eventually I get to a crosswalk and I can't go anywhere because it's a red light, it's a big street, everything like that. And she keeps like harassing me for money. And in my mind, I'm like, okay, I'm in Shinjuku. I'm a gaikokujin, foreigner, a non-Japanese person, a Westerner, and I can't get in a physical altercation, even if it's with a crazy homeless person, because I have too much at stake. There's so many times that like something like this will happen. Foreigner will get arrested and they just get kicked out of Japan, and you can't come back, like either ever or for 10 years or for whatever it is.
Oh my god.
Yeah. I mean, that happens because, you know, they have a strict control on like people who are causing trouble, who are, you know, visiting the country. So I understand that. However, misconceptions, misunderstandings can happen all the time, right? So anyway, this crazy bitch is just harassing me, and in my mind, all these things are flashing through my head like, yo, if I get in a physical altercation, if something goes south here, I have my career at stake because I'm working involving Japan, and if I can't go to Japan for work and for like future work prospects, then I've just screwed over my entire career just because this crazy homeless woman wants money and is like, you know, attacking me right now for it. And then she starts grabbing my bags. Well, wait, hold on. I jumped a thing. And she pulls out, this really made me mad. She pulls out a pocket talk. I think that's what they're called. It is something I've never really heard about or seen outside of Japan.
Okay.
That's a whole nother social thing that I'll talk about another time. It's like this little like electronic device where you talk into it in one language and then it comes out in another language. So then it comes out in English, that kind of thing. She even pulls that out to try and say like, probably, you know, give me money or whatever. And of course I'm ignoring her. I'm not looking at her. I'm not looking at the pocket talk. I'm trying to be like, stop. You're not getting anything from me. I'm not moving an inch, kind of thing. So that's happening. And then she starts like shouting. I've got my earbuds in, so I'm not, you know, really hearing her. She starts shouting. She starts grabbing at my bag, and I'm like, "Fuck off!" You know, and I'm like starting to shove, like starting to push. Thankfully, the light changes, and I like haul ass, and I'm running like past her, and she thankfully doesn't come after me after that, and she didn't grab my bags or anything like that. But I was like, "Is this Tokyo? I've never even had that altercation in the States." You know what I mean?
God.
I know. And I was so just, I don't know, I was vibrating with anxiety because, you know, I'm thinking in my whole mind, like, I'm going to get kicked out of Japan over a misunderstanding with this crazy person, and it's going to ruin my career, right? So my mind's going like in all these different places. And I'm like, all right, I need to just like sit down. I was going to get some food anyway. I go over to this one like famous ramen shop for good ramen. And it's a long line as I, you know, kind of get to the area and I see. So I ask the guy, and I'm like, yo, how long is this going to take approximately? Of course, I'm asking him in Japanese. And he's Taiwanese, and he responds back to me in like very, very poor English. He starts Japanese, and then he switches to English when he says 30 to 40 minutes. And this poor kid, he didn't deserve my anger. But I was unhinged at that moment. And then that made me mad. So I speak Chinese for the listeners who don't know that. It's very rusty now because I haven't really spoken it in years and years and years. But I used to work in a Chinese restaurant when I was like 15 all the way through into my 20s. So I speak conversational Chinese from that. And so then I start yelling at him in Chinese because I can tell by his English accent that he speaks Chinese. And I start yelling at him in Chinese. I'm like, listen, if I speak to you in one language, you need to respond back to me in that language. Not every white person speaks English. So then he's, I don't know, 19. And he's like, oh, sorry. I just walk away and I'm like, I need to be out of society. I'm a danger to myself and this society. I need to go home. So I get my ass on a train and I go back home. I have a sadness meal at really bad ramen right around the station.
I am so sorry. That
No, it's okay. I'm not
so
asking
much.
for sadness. I'm not asking for empathy. I'm just sharing a story. That's all it is.
I know, but I know you, and that story makes me feel for you.
Thanks, but don't worry. I mean, I'm definitely not asking for sorries. Like, I can handle my own. It's just that, like, if this happened in, like, a very large amount of any other country, including America, I would not have been so flustered by it. But my career is flashing before my eyes. And that's what upsets me the most, is that, like, am I really about to ruin my whole career over defending myself over this crazy person?
Yeah.
And I've never had any homeless person in Japan do something like that. So she was a crazy person more than she was a homeless person. Homeless people in Japan, or in Tokyo, mind their own business. And that sounds really mean, but they don't assault you.
Yeah.
Except for this bitch.
I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. Please don't say sorry, because I'm not asking for that.
All right.
Just sharing a story.
I'm glad you were okay.
So check out my socials, my Twitter and my Insta for those kinds of things, I guess. Galen, where do you get assaulted by homeless people on the internet?
Obviously on Twitter. You can follow me on Twitter at Mobius087 and catch the Instagram photos that I put up at true_Mobius.
Shinjuku sucks. Like,
yeah,
it's always sucked, but like it's getting worse now, especially with all the tourists. Tourism is really rough, and you have to go to certain areas of Tokyo to just kind of get away from it. I don't mind like tourism and people being around, but it's the naive tourism or like the really rich people that are touring. That's obnoxious. I love when people explore other cultures and explore other countries, but I don't know.
Shinjuku sucks.
And which is a shame, because there's lots of good stuff in Shinjuku. It's just you have to go like outside of a lot of stuff. But because of it being a big old metropolitan hub of people, that's where you can find some good places to shop and good places to eat. But there's other good places to shop and eat. So I'm gonna play it low key. I'm gonna go to Shimokitazawa today if I have time. Do a little bit of shopping at the what are those called? Furugiya. What is a Furugiya in English? Secondhand store.
Don't know.
Secondhand store.
Ah, okay.
Yeah. Yo, if anybody is going to Tokyo, especially because the Olympics are coming up and they're probably doing like good deals, feel free to hit me up on the socials, or send us an email at NintendoEverythingPod, and I'll give you some good recommendations for stuff to do that's like, outside of the tourist traps, because you have tourist stuff written all over the internet.
Yeah.
But I'm happy to share those kinds of things.
Oni is very good about those kind of recommendations. We had a lot of fun with his guidance while we were out there.
Thanks. I feel bad in retrospect, because I thought, like, I wanted us to stay in like a really quiet area that I really like Megoroku. It's one of my favorite areas of Japan. But I was like, you know what? That might be just a little too chill for them on vacation. If they're on vacation, they should be able to access everything really well and be in an exciting area, so that way, lots of fun things are happening. So I had to stay in Shinjuku, and I think that was a little much. It was great in terms of, what's that called? Location? Like where we can go to. It was really helpful that way. But at the same time, like, I don't know. I feel bad, like, I showed you guys a side of Tokyo that's only a sliver. And I don't know. I don't want, like, I've loved this city, and I've lived here for so long that, like, it's part of my heart. And so I don't want to misrepresent my city, just like I wouldn't want to misrepresent Chicago or something.
Yeah. Well, and I can definitely say it's not going to be the first time we're going to Japan, so...
Yeah.
We'll definitely see more later.
Oh, by the way, I do tour guides here in Tokyo, so if you want to pay me, I'll show you all the good spots and not just the touristy stuff. You want to see touristy stuff, I'll take you there, but I'm also going to take you to a really good place to eat that's off the beaten path in the touristy area or whatever, and outside of the tourist area, entirely outside of that. So, Yamame, give me a call. Hire me. This is a weird episode.
It's got a weird vibe to it.
What is happening? Thank you for sticking with us to the end, everybody. Please give us your feedback on what's working and what isn't working, because I feel like I'm crumbling.
We could definitely use a little guidance as to the flow of the show lately. I feel with like the Japan trip and TGS and everything, the flow has been out of whack.
Yeah. Give us feedback and give us ratings and leave us an iTunes rating because that helps so much. Oh, I haven't checked that in a minute. I want to see who. All right, let's see. I'm gonna check. I'm checking live, folks, to see if somebody has left us a review, so that way I can thank them live on air. Ooh, somebody has. They didn't leave us a word review. Oh wait, they did. Hold on. Yeah, somebody left a new word review. Sassy banter with gamer knowledge. Oh, from Roxas Sakuraba. He also, I recognize his name. He, or she, subscribes to my YouTube. I gotta freaking plug that too. See, I'm bad at branding. My YouTube. I got a YouTube where I play video games with my husband, Clifton. Game married. Anyway, so this guy or girl, Roxas Sakuraba, they also, subscribe to my podcast. My YouTube. I have to end this show because I am just a puddle of crap right now. Thank you very much, Roxas, for leaving us an iTunes review. And thank you anybody else who is also leaving reviews. I love you all and I will always be your virtual friend.
Aww.
No, really. I like having conversations with people on the internet.
Yeah. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we'll talk to you guys later. We're a weekly podcast in case you don't know. Oh my god, no. Stay tuned onto NintendoEverything.com and this podcast because we'll do lots of stuff, I guess. This is really sad now. This is sounding embarrassing. I'm trying to say words so that way I can remember how to end the show.
Oni.
What?
For everything Nintendo.
For everything Nintendo.
Stay tuned to Nintendo Everything.
Stay tuned for next week and bye-bye.
Later, everyone.